welcome to Explore HVAC and Home Services podcast. I'm your host, Pam Mashburn. I'm your guide to the latest strategies and proven tactics for growing your home service business. Today, I've got an old friend on with me today. His name is Jay Tidwell, and he's with Jay Tidwell and Associates in Montgomery, Alabama. He's an experienced realtor and property manager. He's worked with both commercial and residential properties. And I want to ask him some great questions on how he chooses vendors, the top qualities he's looking for. And I think you'll learn a lot today about working with property managers and people that handle realtors and the home buying process as well. So, hey, Jay, welcome.
Thank you so much, Pam. I'm glad to be here.
So we met, gosh, it's been almost 20 years. And
at least 20 years, probably right at 20 years.
And when I met Jay, I was actually in the home staging business, and I staged some new homes for Jay. Do you remember that? It was a long time ago.
Yes, that's where she first impressed me.
Oh, so, I impressed you. I love
it's
that.
Perfect topic for what we're talking about today. The way she came out of the gate, I would say she did a superb job. And anyways, go ahead and ask me your questions.
Well, okay, I don't think so. I think I'm just going to take compliments for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I can do it.
That's where I learned that marketing is a big deal, and that's how I got into marketing, because home staging is not about decorating as much as it is about creating a perception, creating a brand for a realtor and for a home. But tell me a little bit about your journey, Jay. Tell me, how'd you get into this business? Where did it all start?
Well, I started out in retail business and retail sporting good business about almost 40 years ago now. And I was in that business selling guns and ammunition and working 6 or 7 days a week and prayed my way out of retail and got into property development and property management. I first went to work for the Hodges family here in Montgomery that owned Hodges Warehouse and Hodges Commercial Real Estate. And just right out of the gate, learning a lot about property development and dealing with engineers and environmental engineers. And so I was very blessed to jump right into commercial real estate. And that's where I really like to thrive. And I like the development side. I like the fast pace of, taking something and really getting somebody what they need. I like to tell people I want to be the one to get you from A to B. A lot of people know where they want to be, but they don't know how to get there. Mm-hmm. So I got into that. This is my 22nd year in real estate. I've been a broker for about 16 or 17 years, and I've worked for more property management here in Montgomery that managed a little over 4 million square foot of retail space, mostly retail. So I learned a lot from them, from Jerome Moore. And working for the Hodges family, at one time they owned over 5 million square feet of warehouse space.
Wow.
So I've really dealt with everything from big contractors to smaller contractors, residential and subs, and just overseeing, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of projects over the years, whether they be from the ground up, putting in infrastructure for development, or whether it be as simple as helping a homeowner choose the right HVAC person or the right roofing person or something. So it's, nothing's too big, nothing's too small, really. I mean, it's all about building that relationship and just taking care of the needs of the, whomever you're representing, whether it be a customer or client, or just giving a friend advice or another property owner advice to help them. I mean, because everybody's issues and everybody's problems are their issues and problems. It may be small to me, but it's big to them. So it needs to be big to me.
Yeah. Well, so it probably, I'm just guessing, because in my own experience, when I refer somebody to someone, it's a big deal if they don't do a good job. So,
and it is to me. I heard, not to get off on telling stories because I'm liable to do that, but there was a guy that I sold a property to, and he was talking about a contractor that he knew, and the guy said he guaranteed. Well, how can you guarantee? You can't really guarantee somebody else's work, but I guarantee you, if I refer somebody to you, and you call me and say, Jay, gosh, they just didn't do a good job, I'm going to go to their doorstep and talk to them and say, hey, what happened? You've been doing a great job for 20 years, and I told Pam to call you, and you hadn't shown up, and sometimes there may be an excuse, but it may not be a reason. And there's a difference. So, But
Yeah,
you know,
that's a good quote. So yeah, so that's I was looking at like different things. In your business, like I'm sure you deal with like roofers and HVAC, plumbing, um, probably windows, pest
I've
control.
dealt with just about everything. I mean, you name it. It's the different things I get calls about, and friends of mine that call me. You know, you said I was an old friend. I guess I am old. I'm 59. So,
Well,
but
I didn't mean it that way. I just
I
meant
understand. No,
known
just
you for
easy.
a long time.
That's correct. Yeah, you were 12, and I think when I first met you, so that's 20 years ago. But anyways,
So
you just
tell me how you decide who you're going to get and who you're going to refer. Is it based on, how do you decide? Like you've got a new guy that you met, or how? I mean, how did you develop this, list of people that you use?
just over time, you really kind of want to vet people, but you also want to give people a chance. I mean, I've used a lot of new people that have become my go-to person. You don't want to be so complacent and doing the same old thing, using the same person. But on the other hand, if somebody has been the one that's shown up, the one that's responded to your calls, then, keep using them. I mean, occasionally you have to, I may get in a situation with a property owner. I mean, I like to use my go-to person. I like to use my roofer, the guy, my HVAC person, my electrician, and everybody under the sun that I know that is that professional for that type of work. But some property owners require you to get multiple bids.
Hmm.
So then, I try to go to my secondary list, and in property management, you have to be fair and transparent. And, if you have somebody bidding on something, if my guy doesn't get it, that's just the way it is, so you just have to do the right and ethical thing. And a friend of mine, when I first got into real estate, told me, he said, Jay, if you're doing the right thing for your customer, for your client, nothing's too harsh. So it may be my best friend, the HVAC guy, but I have to call him up and go, hey, won't call any names, but you got beat on this bid, and you got beat pretty hard. And so we're going to have to go with the other guy. And people respect that. I mean, the biggest thing is just communicate.
Hmm.
Um, so you can spend money anywhere, anytime on any product you want, but to me, it's more of a relationship thing. And you know somebody, and you want to do business with them, and price is just one aspect of it. I'll buy this table right here for $1 million if I can pay you a penny a month for the rest of my life. I mean, so it's not just price, and so many people tend to look for price. It's not just the prices. you know, are they showing up when they say they're going to show up? Are
Right,
they doing
right.
the job? Are they giving you what they told you they were giving you? Or is it the quality? Is it the timing? If you're needing to switch out the whole HVA system, and it's fixing to, it's 50 degrees today, as we know in, Alabama. I mean, it could be 50 degrees today and 17 tomorrow night. So, if the guy that shows up, um, says he'll be there Thursday and get switched out for the weekend. Well, if he calls you Friday morning and says, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna get to you. My truck broke. My dog got sick or whatever. Those are reasons, but that's not a good excuse. I mean,
Hmm.
you committed to doing something, you need to follow through at whatever it takes. I mean, things happen, things unforeseen happen in everybody's situation. And, a lot of the people that I deal with, they're no more than, maybe a small business with 2 or 3 or 4 people. So if, two people are out, then they go to half their staff, and it's hard to do all their work with half of their workforce.
Does that
Um,
tend to give you pause when you're working with a really small group like that? Does it
Say
make
that
you
again.
go, does it give you pause? Does it make you go, ooh, this is kind of an important job. Maybe I'm not going to use somebody that's only got one or two or three people. Maybe I should go with
It,
the bigger.
in certain things, it does. You want to have somebody to backfill those positions, and like you said, if Bob or Bill or Jim gets sick, I mean, you can't stop the whole train. You got to keep moving on. I mean, it's unfortunate when things happen unforeseen, but there again, if I've got a family, or if it's a business, or Pam calls me and says, I got this issue, then, like I
Most
said
importantly.
before, your issue is your issue. It may be
Right.
small to other people, but it's your issue of that day, and it needs to be addressed and given as much time and credit that it needs. So,
Yeah. So let
but
me ask you this. Let's break it down. If you would say, okay, I'm going to use in my business, I'm going to pick people based on these three qualities. What would you say are the top three qualities?
uh, you know, their reputation. What have you heard about them? What do you know about them? I mean,
Mhm.
not what you hear about people is always the truth. I mean, you need to not just rely on something. If you hear something about somebody, check it out yourself, find out the facts. Like I said, price is very important, but it's not by far the most important thing. I mean, what are their response times like? Do they, somebody told me back in the old days, people wanted the HVAC guy and the plumber and the electrician to show up in a truck that he had to, jump start to get it out of your driveway. But now everybody wants the guy that's drives up in the nice vehicle and the lettering on the door, and they put the little booties on when they come inside, and they have their name on their shirt, and they look like they are showed up to work to go to work. And so,
Professional. Yeah.
just look professional and treat people professional. And, there's people in the past that I would let work on a vacant commercial property, but I would never send them into here,
Hmm.
or never send them to someone's house. So you do want professionals. You do want people that look like they intentionally showed up to work to go to work.
Right.
So that's one of the biggest things.
So reputation, looking professional. Did I miss one?
Um, I guess the other thing, somebody that you would want to build a relationship with. I mean, and you don't ever know who that is. And we're, human beings will let you down if you let them. So, I guess, like I said, you have to be price conscious, but, and make sure that they're putting quality equipment in. I mean, everything's not apples for apples. If I send you to the grocery store to buy, 2 pounds of meat, are you going to come back with hamburger? You're going to come back with fillets. So, kind of the same thing. I mean, a lot of people will sell a lesser product for a higher price and still beat the other guy, but they're not giving you what you are paying for. So you
Well,
just need to.
yeah, and I liked what you said about communication. I think if people will communicate, that's half the battle. Like if they're
Yes.
late and you don't know where they are, and then your mind starts thinking, well, are they coming tomorrow? Like when, what's going on? So
Mhm.
I liked how you said communication was a really important thing.
It really is. If you call somebody and say, "Hey, I told you I'd be there Friday morning. This came up. I had the situation with a plumber just last week, and I had sheetrock guys lined up, which would be followed by the painters, which would be followed by the flooring guys, and the plumber was a no-show Thursday. And I texted him. He didn't respond. He finally responded Friday, middle of the morning, and said, "Hey, we're not going to get to you till Monday." And I was nice to him, and and he said, "We just had a lot of emergency calls." Well, that was the example of the guy that's got just two other people. So his
Mhm.
emergency calls took precedent over my plan for a week, you know, project. And I didn't get upset with him because it really, in the grand scheme of things, in this project, it didn't matter. Well, now, if it had been, it could have mattered a lot. And I may have told him, no, never mind. I can't we'll be friends, but you're not working on this project, or I'll keep you on my list, but it's going to be way down the list to call next time.
Yeah.
So,
Well, because it
communication is key.
impacted
If
a
you'd called
lot
me
of people.
Thursday,
Yeah.
because what it did, it just backed the train up. I mean, my sheetrock guy was planning to come over there Friday afternoon. I had to call him middle of the day Friday instead of Thursday evening. And so I don't know how that worked out for him. So communication is one of the bigger things. And
Hmm.
especially with all the modern technology we have, I mean, we're not having to send a carrier pigeon. I mean, you can text, you can call. I mean, send them an Uber with a handwritten note. I mean, call up whatever, take out food and send it to them with a note on the bag. I don't know. Let them know. Just communicate with people.
Right. There is so many ways. Some of the people that I like to work with the most are so good about texting. And that's all you got to do. Just send me a quick text.
Yeah.
Um, so what does it matter? Like when you, well, let me ask you this. what are some red flags? Like if somebody comes to you and says, I want to be on your list, what are some red flags that you would say, "Ugh, I don't know about these guys."
Um, people asking for money up front, people asking for a deposit, people, money's the first topic. People want to get paid. And a lot of people ask you, well, how do you plan to pay for this or whatever? But red flags, people, like I said, that don't show up when they're supposed to. They need some of the money to go buy the materials.
Mm.
You really need to make sure that the people that you're dealing with are licensed, they're insured, especially when you get to professionals like electricians and HVAC people, they need to be, licensed with the state licensing board. And, if they tell you, oh yeah, well, you got a 10-year warranty or 20-year warranty. Well, if they're not there to warranty it, and typically, a lot of items like that, they're not warranted by the service provider. They're warranted by the manufacturer. So you need to make sure, especially with roofing contractors, you may have a 25 or 30-year lifetime roof, but if it's not installed properly, it voids that warranty. And
Oh, that's true. This is true.
and on a $10,000 roof, if you get a $10,000 roof for $7,000, well, that $3,000 savings, hope you invested it well, because you get down the road 2 years from now and, you call that roofer, he's out of business. You call the roofer manufacturer, they come out there and they send their manufacturer rep and they, pull a shingle back and you've only got, 2 nails per shingle and you're supposed to have 6. So sorry,
I didn't even think about that. That's a big deal.
Yes, absolutely.
Deal. So yeah, so you got to make sure that people are doing it. So are you getting up on roofs and checking people's work?
When I have to. So I'm not a big guy on heights, and well, you know the answer to that. You saw me on the ground last week at your building.
I did.
So lost my thought what I was going to say. And another key thing is somebody shows up to change out your HVAC and they say, "Are you going to want this inspected?" Well, yeah. I mean, you want them to pull a permit, and if they're in good standing with the governing authority, in Montgomery, it's the City of Montgomery Building Department, and they send their inspector by, and there's a lot of people I work with that I trust them 100%. They probably know more than most inspectors, but still, it needs to be done right, And my son does some. He's not a general contractor, but he does some, small renovations and call outs for certain properties, change a light bulb or do this or do that.
Mm-hmm.
With stuff like that, I mean, that's fine. They don't have to be licensed for certain things, but having people like that are going to show up, and I trust them going in your property. I know where. I like to tell people I know where he sleeps. I know. and I say that about a lot of people. I mean, I usually don't send somebody unless I know where I can go find them.
So, would you say that having does it impact in any way your decision on whether somebody has strong branding or not strong branding? Like, has a logo, has it on their shirt. Does that matter to you?
It honestly not so much to me because I've been around long enough to know people in this market. But if I'm recommending somebody to somebody else, that would make a big difference because, if they've spent the money and the time to be branded and be conscientious about that, then that says something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it says that they're trying to put their best foot forward. They're trying to be a professional, look professional, and show up and do what they're going to do. And and one recommendation I have people is, people, to quote Mayor Emery Farmer, I mean, people do what you inspect, not what you expect. And, going back to my own son, I mean, he would get frustrated and still does sometimes when I say, "Okay, well, are you done? I'll go by and check." When it's like, it was personal with him, maybe a father-son thing, but you just want to check up behind people. And because the company may have intended to finish everything on Friday, but their guy that needed to get off early to go to a ball game may have thought, hey, I'll run back by there Sunday afternoon when I come back into town and I'll finish it up. Nobody will ever know and it'll all be good. And then something happens and they don't. So, you go by and put your eyes on it and check. And, and when you get into residential, not picking on homeowners, but a lot of people don't know what to look for. Don't know what to expect. And that's another reason you would want to deal with a company that has all that branding, that has all that image they're trying to keep up, because when you call their boss and go, hey, can you come out here and look what your guy did? And even the best guys have bad days and make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't be so quick to put their head on the chopping block, but you got to inspect what you expect and keep everybody honest
I
by
love
doing
that.
that.
Yeah. Well, and it is interesting because, even in my office, I mean, I look at the people that work for me and people go through seasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden they're a new parent or they're taking care of a parent or something, and things can fall off. People aren't, even keeled their whole life, every day, every month. And so things can
Mm-hmm.
happen. I actually think that a lot of times how people respond to mistakes is almost a better indicator of character. And I don't know if you found that, but I mean, that's one thing I can know is that everybody's going to make a mistake, but how you respond to it, like, do you fess up to it? Do you take care of it? Um, any big mistakes that you've had somebody do that you were like amazed at what they did to correct it?
Both ends of the spectrum. Some of them that went like, sorry, and some of them that just went overboard beyond what they should have done, what they could have done, what they had to do. And Pam, back, it was probably summer of 1998, I opened my own sporting good business, my own, hunting and fishing store, call it that. And I went to 3 friends of mine at that time that had been in business for, the 3 of them combined had been in business for over 120 years. I mean, about
Oh,
40
wow.
years each.
Yeah.
And one of them was retail, one of them was building material supplier, and one of them was a builder, big time, builder, built homes, on streets as far as you could see.
Yeah.
Could take on big commercial jobs. The common thread was do what you say you're going to do. And if you make a mistake, fix it and own it.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 of them. And I don't even know that all 3 of them knew each other. They were different, all of them were about the same age at the time. But, but that was a common thing. And so many people make it so complicated. Just show up, do what you say you're going to do.
Yep.
For the price you said it was going to be. And if it turns out you find out that it's not going to be that, then say, hey, before I start, I went to my supply house and this is what I found out. I'm shocked. I'm as shocked as you are. But then sometimes you don't ever tell the customer or client. You just handle it. If you made a mistake, maybe you should have checked it before you quoted that, not after you quoted that and after I agreed and after I called the other 2 people and said,
And
don't
told them
come.
no. That's right.
So, like I said, there's reasons and there's excuses, and there's 2 different things. I mean, the reason I'm late is somebody pulled out in front of me and I T-boned them.
Yeah.
I'm slept late. It's not, that's a reason, but that's not an excuse. The somebody pulled out in front of me, that's an excuse. So, just, like I said, just do what you say you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And communicate.
So you've got your son in the business. There's a lot of people I know in this area that really look up to you, Jay. But what would you say to property managers or realtors? Because there's a lot of realtors out there. If as they're building their list, what advice would you give them on finding good home service professionals?
Well, so many people these days try to reinvent the wheel. Go back and see how it's being done. Go to another property manager and, and ask them, who do you use? Do you have a vendor list? Do you, get referrals? See who's spending money in the market. Look at, go ride by a supply house and see whose truck's sitting in front of it. Or, there's lots of ways, but I would certainly, and I do that all the time. I mean, I've been doing this, like I said, 21 years, but I pick up the phone and there's a couple of property managers, a couple of women that I know in this business that they can do it in their sleep. I mean, they are smooth as a gravy sandwich. So, I mean, so I call them and I ask them things all the time. One lady, she's just sweet, dear friend of mine. She's probably, I better not say her age. I won't say her name, but she just knows. So I call on her a lot, with certain things. And like I said, I'd worked for Hodges Warehouse, so they're putting on roofs. I mean, you know, you can choke down $10 or $15,000 expense sometime and say, hey, we made a mistake. We shouldn't have hired that guy. But when you're talking about putting a roof on a 100,000 square foot or a 200,000 square foot warehouse, I mean, pennies per square foot make a difference. So, I call on those people. So, just like I said, don't reinvent the wheel. Just call somebody that's done it and kind of follow that model is one way to do it. Now, sometimes you do need to reinvent the wheel. The definition of stupid is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Some people use the same people and just keep on using them because they're buddies and they hunt together and they fish together. I'm tasked by my own accountability in doing the right thing for my customer or my client. And I have to put my personal relationships aside. I mean, yes, I have really good personal friends that are electricians and roofers and HVAC people. But if you call me and say, Jay, I want to put a roof on my building, or I want to do this, or I want to do that, I have to put my personal relationships aside and do the best thing for you. I mean, I have to do the best thing for you. One advice I've given my son when people beat him up on a price, I said, son, you reduce the quantity, not the quality. And that's, you think about that. I mean, if you need your office painted and I tell you it's going to be $10,000, I need it done for $6,000. I said, okay, I'm only going to be able to paint 2/3 of it. I mean, I don't come in here with a cheaper product and put one coat because somebody walks in your office. Oh, Pam, was your power on? Did you have lights on when that guy painted your office? Well, no, Jay Tidwell did that. And that's you're not going to tell them that you beat me up so bad on the price that and that you accepted the shabby work because you were wanted the cheaper price. So
right.
So I would give, this is more advice for subs and for contractors and for service providers. If you need to, if you have to, you give people the best price you can do it and live with it and stick to that. I mean, if number one, if somebody gives you a price, they really shouldn't have an opportunity to come down or go up. I mean, they should, whatever price they gave you, they need to stick with that. And if they get beat by, $50 on a $10,000 bid, then that's on them. But I would give the advice to those people, like I said, whether they're painters or roofers or HVAC people or whatever, be willing to reduce your quantity, not your quality.
Right.
You provide the same quality work you always do, so.
I love that. Well, I think our time is up here, and I've learned a lot of things. I wrote down some stuff, things that you're looking for, and being price conscious, but not letting that be the whole thing. And one thing I keep hearing is reputation, reputation, reputation. So
yes.
When you make a mistake, you need to be able to fix it and be honest, communicate it, because it's not just you. It's not just Jay Tidwell, but it's all the Jay Tidwells in the world that are talking to one another. People like in relationship, people like to do business with people that they like and that they trust. I loved your warnings, because I'd never thought about if people are asking for money up front and making sure the permits. I mean, I bet everybody listening to this podcast understands and knows that. But the big thing that I'm taking away from this, Jay, is it may be a reason, but it's not an excuse. And I'm going to put that in my business quotes, because I love that. I love that. Hey, thank you for tuning in to the Explore HVAC and Home Services podcast. We hope these insights will help your business and drive growth. If you need some help with the heavy lifting of marketing, please give us a call at Explore HVAC. Subscribe to our podcast. We'll be having a new one every 2 weeks. Thank you so much and have a great day.